Jessica again, J&J Geekery. Today I'm going to do detail work again, but this time it's with Deadpool. He looks not like Deadpool right now. So we're going to do the detail work for that today. I also want to give a little shout out to my monkeys. Hi buddies, mommy loves you. Alright, let's get started. So like I said, we'll be doing Deadpool today. I've got all of the bits already cut out, so all of this is the felt, and then I have some polymer clay pieces that I made, and then top it off with paint. So first of all, we need to have our Deadpool that I've crocheted. He's all ready to go. So next we're going to put his swords together. I did do some polymer clay swords for his back with little tops. I did the tops separately so that way they can be a little more three-dimensional. So we'll take our hot glue. Okay, so we put a little bit of glue on the bottom, and then take our sword, find the little groove that we made, that I made with the polymer, and just stick it in there. I'm gonna hold it for a minute so that way you know that the glue dries. See, it's a little wobbly. Wipe away some of the excess glue. Sometimes that helps. So that's the first sword. I know it doesn't look the best right now, but we'll clean it up here in a little bit. And then we got the second sword and the end. So again, we put a little bit of glue right into the hole here, and then we put the sword blade into the little groove. Make sure you got it in there good. And blow on it a little bit. Knock all of your felt pieces over. That does happen. Wipe off the excess so it doesn't look too bad. We've got two swords. Next we're going to do the felt work for them. So I have these little pieces here that just go through his arms, and it's for his sides. So then, once it's through the arm, we go ahead and add a little glue here. Keep it in place to wherever we would like it. So I would like it like that. So that'll help keep it in place. So that way we can glue the rest of it down. So we're gonna put some glue along the outside edges. And we're just gonna glue that down right to his side and his back, just to give him that little bit of a black on his oh so red and black outfit. You want to make sure that you don't get glue everywhere, so try to put little bits. And then up here where his arm goes, you want to put a little glue up there. Then we get the other side. Make sure that we fix our little felt so we know where everything kind of goes. So the other side, we want to make sure that this little knob is on the same side as it is on this one. So put his arm through. I cut up all these little bits ahead of time just to make it easier, because that can be kind of a daunting task. Okay, so now that we've got it here, we're going to do the same thing as we did before. We're just going to put a little bit of glue on this part here to help keep it in place. We're going to decide how we want it on here. So it looks like right there would match it up pretty good. And then we just stick it down. And then we go ahead and put glue just around the outside. Save you a bit of glue and a little bit of time. And you want to do this relatively quickly, because otherwise you'll end up with dried glue. It dries pretty quickly. So then again, we're going to squish it all down and make sure it's where it needs to be here. And don't worry if it's not exactly the same. These are crafts, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you put your heart and soul into it, it'll look good. Which is what I do. I love every one of the dolls that I make. And I pass that love on to you guys. I like to make people smile. So then we're going to take off the little bit of glue strands that came our way. And now it kind of looks like he's wearing a bit of a black vest. And so next we're going to put his face on, so that way he doesn't look like just a weird doll with no face. So we're going to take these little black strips that I've cut to make it look like his face, and we're going to figure out exactly where on him we would like to put him. So right there looks pretty good. So I think that's what we're going to do. So I'll take this one, put glue around the outside, and then stick that right there, shape it around his big round head. And then next we'll do this one. Just put some glue around the outside. And make sure it's pretty much the same on each side. Be careful with the hot glue, because hot glue is hot. Some people don't realize that, and they see me remove glue and then try it themselves and realize that it's hot. So we definitely don't want you to realize then. It's best to realize now. Next, we're going to take these little white bits that I have cut into the shape of eyes. We're going to put a little glue right there on the back. And then we're going to put it right over top of that black part. And then do this one. Put a little glue on the back of it. And try to line them up a little bit. And then there. And now he's got 2 eyes. So, next thing we want to do is get some of the other bits on. Deadpool has a lot of layers, so you have to kind of do things in a different order. Normally I would just start from the top and work my way down, but where he's got so many different layers, it's important to make sure that they overlap in the right way. So next what we're going to do is we're going to do his belt. I've done up the belt so it connects there, so that way I can put other bits on him and overlap it better. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with putting it on his back. So we put a little bit of glue on it and then put it underneath him, and it should come around and just connect right there. So now that we've got it lined up the way we want it, we're going to go ahead and glue the rest of it on. So put a little bit of glue right there on the belt, and then fold it over. Get rid of all the glue strings because there's going to be a ton of them. And then flip them around. He's going to be pretty dizzy by the end of this, just saying. So then we put some glue over here so it sticks really good. And fold that over to about there. Then we're going to take these little bits right here and we're going to glue them down. So we'll put a little glue over here, fold it down, take this big string of glue off. That happens a lot, like I said. And then we're going to take a little bit of glue and put it there, and then fold it over. See, and it lines up really well. Next part of the belt is this little piece, which I have seemed to make just a little bit too big. So, get our handy dandy scissors, trim it down just a little bit. Then put a little bit of glue in here. Put it right in there. Next up, we want to take this little circle, put a little glue on the back, put it right there. That's going to be Deadpool's logo. So again, like I said, there's a lot of little bits to this, so we want to make sure that we've got them all in the right spots. Next up is I'm going to do up his shoulders and his arms. So we have these little pieces here that I've done up for his shoulders. They're just going to wrap around like that. So we're going to start by putting glue just around the edge over here. And this will give it just so we have an idea of where it's going. So we're going to put that up on his shoulder. So that way it looks like he's got a nice shoulder pad there. Looks like it's in a good position. Next we're going to put a little bit of glue on the inside flap here. Just enough to make it stick. Again, I know I use a lot of glue, and I apologize for encouraging that. But it all ends up worth it in the end. So, that's one shoulder pad. And now we've got the other one. So we're gonna put, oh, I'm running low on glue, obviously, since I use so much. And so we're gonna put a little bit of glue right here on the shoulder pad. And we're going to stick that on his shoulder. Again, covering up the red so that way you can't really see it, because he doesn't have red on his shoulders. Next we're gonna put glue on the little flap. Stick it down. So now he's got two shoulder pads. See, he's starting to look like Deadpool a little bit a little bit more each time. Next, he's got a couple bands on his arms. One is up here. It's just a little tiny piece. You don't need a whole lot of glue. So, the first band is up here on his arm. You want to go all the way around and make sure it's all stuck there. Always put a little bit of extra so that way, in case this way I don't make it too short. So I always put a little bit of extra felt. And then once it's glued on there, cut off the rest. That's why we keep our handy dandy scissors around. Okay. The next one is closer to his wrist, or it's on his wrist. So we're gonna put a little bit of glue there, and we're going to put this one right here above his glove with a little bit of red peeking through, and then glue it down and snip off the excess. So we do that with the other arm as well. A little bit of glue there. And stick it to his arm. Add a little bit more. And if you get a glue other places where it shouldn't be, that does happen. Try not to stress yourself too much about it, because in the end it'll look however much effort you put in it, that's how it's gonna look. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more right there to get that last little bit down. And snip. And then his wrist one. Push that in a little bit. A little bit of that red peeking through. I try to leave at least a stitch, so that way you can see it looks like it's supposed to be there. Okay. Almost dropped my glue gun. Definitely don't want to do that. So, we've got the wrist. Cut off that little bit of excess. Get all the little glue bits off. Okay. Okay, so now we've got the arms on and the belt on. Next I have a piece for around his neck. I have on the picture I was using that he has one around his neck. So we're gonna just do a nice little like choke chain kind of thing. So I'll put a little bit of glue on there. That might be a little too much, but that's me. I'm gonna put this going around his neck so that way it's nicely firm in there, and stick my finger right in that glue. Then we're gonna turn him over. He's got all sorts of glue bits on his back right now, but we'll deal with that. So next we're gonna put a little bit of glue on the back of his neck, and then fold this part down. And we're gonna bring that glue back this way and fold this part down. So make sure it's all good in there. See? Now he looks cool. Well, he looked cool before, but he looks cooler the more we go. So we're going to do his legs now, because we're gonna need some stuff on his legs. So the first one that we're gonna do, let's see, we'll do this one first, and this is gonna go around his leg here. Put his arm right there to help stabilize him some. So we're gonna put this part on his upper leg. The upper part of his leg here. And then put some more glue here. And fold it over like this. And then we'll trim off this little bit of excess. Oops. There. Get some excess there. Unglue the little bit from the scissors. The next part goes on further down his leg. We want to make it so that way it looks like it's straps on his uniform. Fold this part over. It does happen that if you try to cut a straight line that it does go a little wonky. That happens to me often. Try not to beat yourself up about it. So then we'll trim this little bit here. And now he's got 2 on that leg. And the next one is going to go up here. Okay, so then we're going to put this part on his leg here. So we're going to put a little bit of glue right there. Put that around his leg. Go underneath. A little more glue. I love glue. It's super fun. Sorry, I have little moments every now and then where I just go a little silly. And one of them is because of glue. So we're going to trim that. Push it down. And he's looking pretty good. Now, the next 2 on his other leg are going to go a little bit further down. So this one is gonna go here. If you're wondering, I've made Deadpools before, so that's why I know where quite a few of this stuff already goes, but if I can't figure it out, I have a picture reference beside me that I keep an eye on. Helps me stay focused and make sure that I put stuff in the right spot. So then we'll trim that. Keep getting stuff stuck to my scissors. Okay. And then there's also another one on this side that's also with this one. And this one is to hold one of his knives, I believe. So we got those two parts on. Trim it up. You always want to make sure to keep the little bits out of your space where your other bits are, so that way you don't have issues of trying to figure out where stuff goes if you don't need to. Now let's see. The next thing that we're gonna do is I have a shoulder pad and something that goes all the way over him that holds his swords in place. So we're gonna put this part on, and then we'll put the shoulder pad over it because it'll make it look more authentic. Next we're gonna put this, a little glue on, put it down right there. We want it to go right over his chest, as it should. Then this part, it's better to put little bits of glue at a time, so that way you don't end up putting glue on places that you don't want glue on. So I know sometimes I can get over eager and put the whole line on, but it makes it easier to do it like that. And then we'll put a bit more glue here and put it all the way in the back. And we'll attach the back part here soon, so it doesn't look like just some hangy thing. So next we have the shoulder pad. Stick that on, and we want that right up here, so it looks like the shoulder pad is protecting his shoulder from the sling. So we got that on. Now he also has, as you probably know, lots of little pockets on his belt. So we're going to take these little pieces of brown and put some glue on them and just stick them right there on his belt. Take off the little bits of glue. Put the next one right there. And then we have two for the other side. So we'll put a little glue. And stick it right there. And then one more. Put it right over here. Now, we're going to take these pieces next, and what these pieces are is they actually go on the sides here, and that is what he uses to hold his guns. That's what his guns are going to be glued to. So, we're going to take this piece and go around it. Lift up his arm, we're gonna stick it right underneath where the belt is, and make sure that it's also connected to his leg belt. There's really not a lot of ways to say that. I'm sure there's a few people who can tell me what that belt would be called, but that's where we're gonna stick this. Now it seems like I need a bit more glue over here to get it nice and stuck down. There. So we're gonna stick one on his other side too. And we're just basically gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go an outline with the glue, and then stick it right underneath the belt on his waist, and stick it to the belt on his leg. So now he's got two little holsters. This holster here is for his leg down here. So what I'm going to do there is stick this part right on his leg right here. That's where these two little belts come into play. Stick it right on there. But then, just to be a little cool, I've got this other piece. So what I'm going to do with this piece is I'm just going to go around the bottom and the sides with just a little thin bit of glue, because I don't want it to stick everywhere, just on the sides. And we're going to stick that right there, pushing it out so the glue doesn't go inside, and creates a little pocket. And that pocket, if I did it correctly, is going to house this knife. And it seems to fit in there okay. So we'll take it out for now. Next we have two little pieces of brown felt, because he also has pockets on this belt, or on this leg belt, I guess you could say. This seems to be this one. So we'll put a little glue, stick it on there. Then we're going to do his back, which has collected all of the glue that I have taken off. It seems to do that. We're going to put this on his back. Now, it just seems like a weirdly shaped piece of felt, and it kind of is, but this is going to house his swords. So we're going to put a little bit of glue on the two sides to start with, and we want to make sure that there is room for the swords to go in. So we're going to kind of stick it up a little bit, so that way there's a nice little gap. Then we're going to put just a little bit of glue on the bottom here. Stick that part to his back. Push it up a little bit, so that way you still have the nice entryways for the swords. And then there's a little bit up here that we can also stick down to give them a little bit more security. So we'll put a dollop there. There's me and my dollop again. And stick that down too. Now hopefully we can take these swords, stick them right on in through. Bring it down. And get it to go through. We do the same with the other one. Takes a little wiggling, but it seems to be exactly what I wanted it to do. And his swords are in. Now, a detail that a lot of people don't think about or even remember to do when they're making a doll like this is the feet. The feet are just as important as everything else. So, if you want to put lots of love into your doll, make sure you do all of it. So next we're going to do the bottom of the feet. We're going to cover it with a nice black sole, which is kind of what Deadpool has, but a good black sole. Here, we got to cover the whole bottom of the shoe in a very thin layer of glue to get it to do what you want. You want to make sure not to put too much, otherwise it'll spill out the sides. Then we take his foot and we line it up and we stick it down. Make sure you get the sides to go too, so that way it looks like it's just always been part of the shoe. Make sure it's all nice and pushed down. And we do the same with the other foot. Put a nice thin layer of the glue on the sole of his foot. And stick it to the bottom. All stuck on there. So now we're going to take our knife, put it right here in his side leg pocket. We've got his swords on his back. And now we need the guns. Now I made these. I don't normally make guns when I do my crochet and polymer work, but where these are going to be actually glued to him and you cannot take them off, I consider them to be just any other piece of detail work. I do not make guns crocheted or otherwise, normally. So, I'm going to put some, you want to put a good amount on this. And then we're going to stick it right to the side where his gun holster is. Okay, and then we have the other one. Again, same thing. Stick this one over here on the other side. Cut the sword a little bit. We can fix that in a moment. So, got that one stuck over there. Get all that glue off the edge of the knife, or the sword. Okay, so he's got his two guns. So just because I like to have a little fun with it, I also made him a little pink unicorn out of polymer clay. And we're gonna just glue that right into his hand so he never lets it go. I'm going to put a big dollop of hot glue right there. Stick it right to his hand. I'm going to hold on to that for a couple minutes to make sure it dries. It's a little heavier than the other pieces, so it might take another couple minutes. Or a couple seconds. If it takes you a couple minutes to dry with hot glue, you're using it wrong. Okay, so now we've gotten to the point where we're going to do the painting on it. I've tried to get rid of all of the little glue bits for you, so that way it doesn't show up. So what we're gonna do is we need to make all of the pieces look like they're supposed to be there. First of all, I want to do the face. So we're going to, there's not a lot to do with the face the way it is now. So what I'm going to do is just, he's got stitches in his costume, so we're just going to do a little stitch work down the side here. I see that there's a couple glue bits that I missed. Another thing the painting is good for is for things like up here around the eyes. There's glue that has dried to a white color. So if you just use it for touch-up, go around the eye a little bit, just to make sure that any of the glue that's popping out doesn't distract people from the quality of work. Do the same thing on this side. And sometimes you don't even realize that it needs it until you've done it, and then you're like, wow, that looks so much better. We're also going to do a little bit of the stitch work up here, just to kind of give it that authentic feel all the way around. Sorry, I'm getting right up in your face, aren't I? We'll do just a little bit of stitch work. Bring it up here. You don't want it to be too dark because you don't want it to distract from your work. And then, because you've already put so much hard work into this already, you just want to make sure that everybody appreciates it and you can make people smile with it without distracting them. So then we'll pull it down here and pull it up from the bottom and there. And it's a simple touch, but it does a world of difference. Next up, we want to give ourselves a little bit of detail work in the badge here. So in his little logo, we're gonna, if you guys remember the Deadpool logo, which I'm sure you do if you've already seen it up until this point, you would have at least watched Deadpool in order to be able to enjoy this video. So we're gonna paint half of this, or this little part, with black. And I use base for the red for the base color because I think that it looks, it's easier to paint black onto red than it is to paint red onto black without it getting too dark. So sometimes you gotta make decisions like that with your base color. But it still works out pretty much the same way. We want to make this a little more even over here. And over here. So we've got that. Now I also like to go a little far into my detail work and put things like clasps. So behind here is a clasp. And we'll do that on the other side too, that hold his belt together. So just make it look like a little clasp there. We also want to, with these little pockets, make them actually look like pockets. Sometimes you go a little over, but that's the stakes in the game. And then a little dot for its button. The same with the next one here. Seem to be bending my sword on the other side. That's the beauty of polymer clay, is you can bend it and it usually won't break. Now, we also have 2 pockets on this side. Don't worry, I'll get back to the belt in just a moment. We want to make sure that it has a chance to dry, because I'm going to put the white over top of it. So we want to make these just look like little pockets, nothing serious. Again, you don't want to distract from the detail work, but you also don't want to... You want everything to seem just as important as everything else. Because it is. Every little detail is important. It's something that you put into your work that makes you stand out. That's your detail work. Anybody can crochet a doll, anybody can glue, but if you don't put the heart into it, it shows. I love doing this all the time. I wish I could do this all the time. It's what makes me happy. Just like my kids make me happy. You gotta find what makes you happy. Okay. And this unicorn over here needs a couple of eyes. And now his unicorn can see. It was just a random choice. I thought it would look cool to put a unicorn there. So we've got all of the pockets detailed. Now, and we're gonna do, to start with, we're gonna put eyes down here. And you'll know if you put the eyes on too soon, because it'll go from being white to being gray. Okay, so, like I said, we're gonna put some eyes on here. Give it the old Deadpool. All we have left now is the shoulder pad up here. We want to put some lines in it to kind of give it some definition, to show that it's kind of separate. You also want to be careful, because you end up with glue everywhere if you're not, or paint everywhere if you're not. So we're just gonna, that's his little shoulder pad. And then we can do, we can do it so that way it goes around at the edges. So that way it kind of gives it separation from the strip. Alright. Now, we can go ahead and do buckles and all of that stuff, which wouldn't be too, which isn't too difficult. So basically we just take the white, we make little squares, and we can do that on all of these little bits. And so we just do little squares. If you want to get fancy, you can put the little notch in them right here to kind of show that they're going through something. Put one on here. Kind of gives them a cool look. You can also do this in gold or yellow, but I find the white just pops more. Same with here, with the buckles over here. You can give them kind of some definition. Yeah. And that is Deadpool. From the front, all the way around to the back, and around again. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It was really awesome to have you guys here, and again,